All right, I think we've covered contrast ratio pretty thoroughly. Time to move on to color saturation. And that's pretty much purely a color decoding issue. Let's switch over to the bottom 110 Panasonic edge, and HD Basics should be in there. And let's bring up the decoding test pattern. So we can look at decoding on it. We can actually look at it on a couple of the displays by isolating the color with the TV. The rest of them, we're going to have to look at it with filters. And unfortunately, filters on lamp-based displays are not completely accurate, but it's really the only thing we have to use. So, the LG I can isolate red, green, and blue separately, and we can do it on the on the Samsungs as well.
I say leave them like it is, so that everyone can just use the filters.
You want to just do it that way?
I think
That's fine. And one per row. We'll give you this. We're going to have to take a little time to do this because we have a limited number of filters. Again, if you're looking at an LED, please make sure that you get on line center with it, otherwise it's not going to look right.
Which one you want, Kevin?
That one right there. And this is for 709 high def, which is what we're feeding it. There is a test pattern on the disc that shows 601 and 709, one on top of the other. And the display should be able to switch back and forth, because if you feed it a standard def signal, it should be doing 601 and not 709. They are slightly different. But in any case, I'm going to take one of them and isolate it just to demonstrate what you should be looking at. It's easier for me to do that than try to explain it. Let's see. Let's take red, for example. Look at the top area here. What you're seeing is these two are darker than these two. In fact, what they should be is all the same, and they should be blending in with the background perfectly. So if you're looking through your red filter at any one of the displays, take a look at these two squares and these two squares and see if they match. On an LED, if there's a slight little error from your filter, it's probably right. If there's a massive error, it's clearly going to be wrong. That's red. The same is true of green, only a different area. These four here should all be the same intensity, and they should blend into the background perfectly. Clearly, there's a little bit of an issue here.
Also, the black bars should also blend in. That means that the secondaries are somewhat
Off.
off.
And then with blue, of course, same thing. There's a little bit of an issue in here. And so most all of these are actually doing their job correctly. Should be noted, don't even look at this one because it's not RGB, it's RGB plus Y. We now have 4 primary elements instead of 3. We can't look at color decoding the same way. We can't, it just doesn't work. The test patterns that we have, like SEMPI color bars, are not going to work with a 4-element color system the way they would with RGB, which is, so let's just forget that for the moment. For now, I'd like to put on the tourist so we can look at skin tones all around the room with the way these sets are calibrated. You can take a look at each one of them at the same time with some real material on it and take a look. You could drop at least the front light, maybe.
Okay.
You can actually drop them all. Again, remember, if you're too far off the axis on any of the LEDs, you're going to have a washed out color anyway. Chapter 7.
There you go. Chapter 7. Okay.
No. So, okay.
What? Can I ask a question?
Please.
So you're saying that the reference quality is the Samsung, right? Because some of these look a lot paler than that, or is it just because I'm off
Well,
axis?
we're off axis, so
well-
if you're looking at like the sharp, it's definitely off axis.
You're off axis.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause he
In
looks-
fact, it is a little paler. It's a little undersaturated,
Yeah,
but
but
not
I'm walking
not
around the
the way
room,
you
going
see
in
it
the
over
front,
there.
trying to see what is going on there. Just what?
Yeah.
But you're saying the Samsung right there is the one that
It's pretty well spot on.
Yeah, measurement wise and all the
Mhm.
stimuli, it is pretty bang on.
Because I see a variability.
Yeah,
from set to
yeah.
set.
Yeah. Yeah. All sets have some variability looking at the stimuli levels so for all manufacturers, this is an opportunity for next year models. Start looking at all your stimuli levels when you're building out your actual gamut. You know, make sure your plots are where they need to be for 10% and at 100% and everything in between. In between.
It's the same thing as grayscale
Exactly.
tracking, but it's color tracking. We need it to track relatively accurately. If there are gross errors, we're going to see that very, very clearly. Which brings us to the next segment of this whole thing, which is the overall color accuracy. We just covered one aspect of it, which is color decoding.